So one huge thing that I learned while reading T. Harv's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind is just that your income, your success, your value can only grow to the extent that you do. That's it. Right? And so, like, how often do you feel like you're actually growing? Like, do you feel like, can you look back over the last year and say, yeah, I've grown. I'm in a different place mentally, spiritually, emotionally, professionally, whatever. Like, can you actually look back 1 year ago and say, I've actually grown? And if you can't, your success hasn't developed. You haven't gotten any steps closer to becoming wealthy or rich. And that's what's keeping you poor. It is. And you can't just rely, and this is what I said to on LinkedIn, that I learned in the book. You cannot rely on being in the right place at the right time. There are too many people out there that are just hoping, you know what, maybe someday I'm just going to go buy a scratch it off, make millions and billions of dollars, which is fine. Like, that can actually happen, right? That's in the right time at the right place. But what are you going to do after you have that money? Right? If you don't know, or if you're not developed enough, or you're not the right person, you're not going to even hold on to that money. You're not. Like, if you're not the person that you need to be, so that way you can properly use, invest, save that money, use it for good, use it to put back into those systems we were talking about earlier, right? Invest it into things. If you're not the right person at the right time for the right thing in the right place, you're not going to become successful. You're not going to become wealthy. You can have as much dollars as you want to, but just as quickly as you can get dollars, you can push it back out. You can reject it. And so if you are not constantly developing yourself, so that way the moment that it does happen, right, you're not just going to smack in the face with wealth, right? Like, that we all wish. But if you were to get smacked in the face with wealth, you need to be the right person for it. Right, which just means that, like, you need to be developing yourself all the time. Like, how, like, in what ways can you develop yourself? What ways can I develop myself, Charmy? Because, like, I try and wait for this promotion at work, and I show up every day. I do what I got to do. I help out, the new employees when they come in, and, like, I do all that good stuff. Like, well, yeah, that's awesome. You're not going to get wealthy being employed, first off, by somebody else. It's not going to happen, right? You're not going to have enough money to be able to do other things with it, which I want to talk about a little bit later as well in the third step, or the second step, whichever one, I can't remember. But the big thing about it is that if you're not reading and learning, you're not going to become the right person, right? Reading and learning what, Charmy? Well, you can be reading whatever it is. Really, you just need to be developing your mind so that way your brain can open. That way your vision can open. There's too many people out here that have lost their dreams and their visions because of their financial situation. And the crazy thing is, they think, well, when I get rich, I'll be able to do these things. You're going to be waiting a long time to buy that really nice car. You're going to be waiting a long time to, like, donate that money to charity. You're gonna wait a long time because you're waiting for the right moment to happen. And that right moment will take literally forever. If it doesn't happen, you need to earn it too, on top of all of that. But even if it does happen, if you're not the right person at that point, let's say you have $500,000 of debt and you get smacked in the face with a $500,000 check, right? Where's that money gonna go? Are you gonna actually give it to the charity? Are you actually gonna buy a car? Or are you gonna put it towards your debt? If your pockets are not the right pockets in the right time and right place, you're not wealthy. You're not going to be wealthy or successful. You're going to remain poor. It's the same thing with you. If you are not filled up enough and taken care of enough and learned enough, and your vision isn't stretched enough, like if you like if your vision is to have $1 million by the time you're 65 to retire, I want you to understand what $1 million does, right? $1 million. Let's say that there's a rule of 4%. All right. And that means whatever amount of money you start retirement with, you take 4% of that, you'll never run out of money. 4% of $1,000,000 is $40,000. It means you can take out $40,000 a year in retirement. Now, let's talk about inflation. Let's talk about inflation. Is that $40,000 any good for retirement? No, it's not. So you need to want more, right? 3 times as much would be $120,000. I mean, you need $3 million. All right, right. So, but if your vision is only stretched so far as, you know what, I'm a million dollar kind of retirement person, that's as much as you're going to be able to hold. And that's it, right? So developing and stretching your vision, right? Reading books, having mentors, literally like always just trying to find ways to be able to better yourself and improve on yourself, so that way you're actually developing, your vision gets stretched, so that way in your mind, $1 million to start retirement is nothing, right? $3 million to start retirement is nothing. Maybe 8. Let's go $8 million to start retirement, right? Because you stretch your vision, now you're going to be able to actually accept when you get smacked in the face, right, by $8 million. But no, in reality, you start to see, I'm not just trying to work to get $1 million. So if you work to get $1 million, yeah, you can. It might take you 35, 45 years to save $1 million if you have a decent income, right? It might take you 35, 45 years. And if you have even less income, right, it might take you your entire life. It might take you longer than your life, right? And when I say longer than your life, I mean like actually save the money, pass that money down to the next generation. They continue saving, then they might get to $1 million, right? But either way, if that's as far as your thinking is, that's as far as you're going to be able to grow. That's your cap. You already capped yourself. So figuring out ways to increase your identity, open up and stretch your vision is going to allow you to be able to take much more money in, to be able to take in much more value. It's ultimately going to force you to put out the work into the universe, so that way you actually work harder to get that money. Because if you're thinking, I'm not going to be able to save up $1 million to retire by the time I'm 65. Well, whatever, I'm just going to keep my job at McDonald's. No, that's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you anywhere, right? But if you're thinking, I need to be able to save up enough money for $8 million, you know what you're going to do? You're going to go find a career. You're going to go find a job. You're going to go do $8 million work. You're going to go do that. And you already know, I'm not going to do that work at McDonald's. So you're going to better yourself and improve yourself and up your identity, so that way you're not just going to get some little job that's going to not allow you to save substantially for retirement. That's one of the things that's keeping you poor. The fact that you're not growing, you're not developing yourself, you're not stretching your visions, and you're not increasing your identity. Oh. I don't know if I'm talking to somebody. I don't know if I'm talking to somebody. That's why you're staying poor. That's why you're not successful and rich and doing all the things that you want to do. It's because you don't want to grow. And a lot of times people, they're afraid of it. They're afraid of doing that work that's going to make them $8 million before they retire. They're afraid of it. What kind of work does that take? Does that take, Charmy? It takes a whole lot of discipline. There's a whole lot of discipline. A whole lot of imbalance too.